सर्वं योगी Ramsuratkumararpanamastu. With our thankful pranams at the feet of Bhagwan, we shall have some glimpses from the ocean of grace, the Kripa Samudra. When we look at the life history of Bhagwan, we see right from childhood, he would go to the banks of the Ganges, spend time with the sadhus there, the mendicants, and if anybody felt hungry, he would run to his house, and whatever his mother had made, rotis, chapati, immediately he would just look around to make sure there was nobody around, and then take the whole lot in his shirt and run back to distribute. He could never see any sadhu going hungry. Right from childhood, the trait was there in him. This is what blossomed into sadhu bhojan later on when he built this ashram. Bhagwan often said, all of us know by now, that beggars are permitted by the Vedas, and the great masters come in the form of beggars. He would often ask us, by feeding one beggar, do you lose all your wealth? Or does he become a millionaire? And he would say it with tears streaming down his cheeks. And he would also say sometimes, when you feed 100 beggars, there could be one Mahatma amongst them. Sri Vivekananda always insisted that the service to the people, the poor, the blind, the deaf, the handicapped, the beggars, the sadhus, is service to Ishvara, God. He would say, if you are a householder, bring at least one or two Narayanas, a blind Narayana, a poorly Narayana. Feed them and then take your food. This is Narayana worship. He said, you must do it with love and love. And then he goes on to define the characteristics of love. He says, where there is love, there is no desire to ask for anything. The love is only giving. And he says, where there is love, there is no fear. And again he goes on to say, the love, the true love, without any expectations, finally leads you to God and makes you understand that this love is God. Ultimately, you understand God as love. It's out of love God has created the whole universe. It's out of love He is sustaining it. And it's out of love He withdraws the whole thing into Himself. It's love from the beginning to the end. And we have to reach that love. And love blossoms into seva, service. Service without any expectations. And service blossoms into greater love. It's out of love Bhagwan is running our lives. Every life touched by Bhagwan has been enriched by Bhagwan's grace. We have been seeing so many demonstrations of His love, what we call leelas. They may sound like just asking for something and being given that. True, but then in our practical life, we do need things. And God, out of love, gives only what we need. Bhagwan, in His demonstrations of love, you would see repeatedly, He would not indulge us, but He would definitely give us what we need. So Bhagwan, in all this, every time there is a demonstration of His love through a leela, it may be very worldly, but it transforms you as well. The true miracle is the transformation of the heart. There should be inner and outer transformations. That's the true miracle. And we see how Bhagwan touches, enriches everybody's life by His love. Love that never expects anything in return. Love that is fearless. Love that makes us realize that this love is God. Now we shall have a glimpse or two of this demonstration of love from Bhagwan. Usha Jeyakar of Virudhunagar. She says that the whole family, her father-in-law, when he was alive, the whole family, her husband and his brothers and their families, all together. Bhagwan loves joint families. I must say that whenever he found a joint family coming together, he would become very happy. See their kid, they're all living together. This is our culture. This is our spiritual culture. In a joint family, you adjust to each other and learn to love each other, learn to give without expectations. It's a training by itself for your spiritual growth. Now, Usha Jeyakar says that the whole family, when her father-in-law lived, all brothers with their families together would go to Palani once every year and then feed all those people there. It was a very happy family event and everybody rejoiced in it. And Bhagwan had more than once indicated that he and Muruga are one and the same. That Lord Muruga and he are not two different entities. Now this time, after his father, that is Usha's father-in-law, passed away, within 25 years, they had to do this partition So Usha's husband insisted upon that. So when it came to partition, it was fair and everybody accepted peacefully. It was agreeable to everyone. So it was a smooth transition. But yet, the following year, when Usha Jeyakar's family had planned to go to Palani for the yearly event of feeding people there, her husband's brothers didn't turn up. She felt very much disturbed. And then she was crying inside and praying and praying and praying to Bhagwan that the whole event must take place smoothly and successfully. So when these people, after doing puja to Palani Muruga, all those people who were to be fed were seated in a row, in several rows. And then the vegetable was served, the rice was served, and Usha took the bucket of sambar and she started serving. And when you start serving, you wouldn't even look at people. Your whole concentration would be on the job of serving. And she started to serve one after the other. When she came to a particular leaf, when she served sambar, all the time she was praying to Bhagwan, chanting his name, that the whole thing should be fulfilling. Suddenly she heard Bhagwan's voice, Podum Amma, meaning enough Amma. It sounded just like Bhagwan's, and she looked up and saw truly Bhagwan seated there in front of the plantain leaf. Just for a moment, she was overwhelmed, looked at him. The voice was his and the figure was his. And then suddenly her intellect interfered. It said, how could Bhagwan come here? It's someone else. And immediately she was carried away by the thought and she went to the next leaf and continued serving. And in the course of serving, she forgot all about it. And then the second round, rice was served in every leaf plate. And Usha had the chance once again to serve, this time rasam, another liquid preparation, a South Indian liquid preparation. She started to serve leaf after leaf after leaf. Again, when she came to a particular leaf, the same leaf, she heard Bhagwan's voice, second time, Podum Amma, Podum Ma, enough Ma. And it was again Bhagwan's voice, and she looked up. And this time again she saw Bhagwan seated there. And now again she became ecstatic. She so much rejoiced. But then just see, she wanted her husband also to come and see. So as soon as she found Bhagwan seated there, she ran from the place to call her husband. It took a few minutes. And by the time they came back to the leaf was already folded and there was nobody there. That particular leaf, there was no one in front of that. Immediately they inquired, and the people who were seated next said, oh, that's Sadhu. He had finished eating fast and he left. Immediately they ran and looked for him here and there. They went to the street and again looked. The street was almost deserted, only a few people here and there, and there was no one like the sadhu, like Bhagwan, who was seated there in front of the leaf, who said, Podumma, in the fashion of Bhagwan. Now by now Usha knew for sure it was Bhagwan seated there, accepted her offering in answer to her prayer. She felt very bad. She didn't interact further with him, and she ran to get her husband. Her husband regretted even more because he said, look, you could see him, and I didn't get the chance. But then it shows, like Bhagwan said, when you feed so many people, that he could be one of them sitting there in the disguise of somebody. She knew that day the Annadanam they offered to so many people had gone to Bhagwan. Bhagwan had accepted it. That's what she was praying. The compassion, the love of Bhagwan and his acceptance of her offering. There's another demonstration of love. It comes in the most unexpected ways, unless one is alert and one is thinking of Bhagwan all the time. It's difficult to recognize when he comes. There is one Subramaniam and Shankari, his wife. They are from Coimbatore. He was working for some time in Coimbatore, and after that he shifted to the Mali. The other place, but then at that time I think he was in Coimbatore, and he had a friend by name Ramana, and whenever he went to his house, Ramana's place, he saw the picture of Bhagwan, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, somebody with a turban, coconut shell, and those people, Ramana's people, were worshipping him. There were many photos there. So it was he who introduced Bhagwan to Sri Subramaniam. And then once, Ramana used to say, you go see him at least once. But he never got a chance. I think it was in 95 or 96. Ramana's family and Subramaniam's family, they planned, they took a van, and at the time Bhagwan was there in the ashram. He was giving darshan in the ashram. So these people came by a van, but by the time they came to Tiruvannamala, they went to Arunachaleshwara Mandir, and after that they came to the ashram. By the time it was 1 o'clock and Bhagwan had already left. And people in the ashram said he would again come only at 4 o'clock. There can be no darshan now. Needless to say how disappointed these people were. And then they talked among themselves. They decided to go to Tapovana, Jnananandagiri Swami's place, and come back for darshan, for the evening darshan. So they left. Of course, they had food there in the ashram, and then after that they left. But by the time they came back from the place, it was already 8 o'clock. And Bhagwan had already left. Again, they could not have darshan. Subramanian did not want to leave in the afternoon. He wanted to stay and have darshan of Bhagwan. But then he had to go along with other people. There was no other go. But all along he was thinking, why, how could I have missed his darshan? He so much wanted to have darshan of Bhagwan, and there was this intense feeling. And when they returned, as you said, it was late, too late for darshan, and again they missed it, much to the regret and grievance of people around. Finally, they came out, and at one place in Tiruvannamala, they stopped the van in order to have their supper. The moon was bright, not very bright. It was still there, up there in the sky. There was little light everywhere, but much darkness. And people got down, or some of them were seated inside the van, some got down. Subramaniam stood near the door on the side of the driver's seat. He also had a packet in his hand. It's a packet of curd rice. He was about to open it, all the time thinking that he had missed out on darshan of Bhagwan and regretting it very much. And suddenly he heard a voice. "Oh, I feel so hungry. Please give me something to eat." He looked up. There was a little light, otherwise it was dark. He could not see the man, the beggar, much. But this much he could make out. This beggar had beard, white beard, and a turban, and a dhoti loosely worn, thrown around the waist. But then there was no time to think. He just didn't think. As soon as the beggar said, "I feel so hungry, please give me something to eat." Without thinking, he gave the packet that he had to the beggar. He just put it into the other man's hands. And then the beggar walked away with the packet. After some time, because he didn't eat anything, he was feeling very hungry. So when he expressed it, Ramana, his friend, learnt this whole story and then asked curiously, how did he look? Then Subramaniam described, because he had not seen him before, he described the man had a turban and a white beard and a carelessly thrown dhoti around his waist. Immediately Ramana got excited. He said, "Oh, that is our Swami, that is Yogi Ramsuratkumar. It is he who came and asked for food because you have been thinking, you have been feeling very much the loss of darshan. So he appeared to you and asked for your food, and good thing that you gave it to him." What compassion! When you have a genuine feeling for Bhagwan, there is always a divine response from him. We may be missing out on that because of our lack of preparation of mind, but the response is certain. It's another demonstration. So Subramaniam had enough to melt inside, thinking of the love and compassion of Bhagwan, who came in that form, the form of a beggar, and asked for food, and took it from his hand. He was at once happy and sad. Sad because he did not know it was Bhagwan, but happy he gave his food to him. He made his offering to him. So this is what we see. There are ever so many incidents like this where Bhagwan had appeared in one form or the other and demanded something from the devotee as an expression of his love. It is love in action. So you see this feeding in the ashram now for the past 20 years. The nama chanting on the one side, the pujas on the other side. At the same time, Annadana is flourishing. Some 300 to 400 people eat in the afternoon. Of course, this corona period is different because of the isolation. But still, sadhu bhojan is going on. Though people, the sadhus, were not allowed to sit and take food as before because of the rules, they would come with their vessels and the ashram gives food to them, every one of them, as much as they want. Sadhu bhojan continues and the devotees who come, they can also have food in the afternoon. If they come from different places, they have to inform the previous day, and even morning breakfast is arranged, afternoon lunch is arranged, if they inform the previous day. Annadanam is flourishing, just as nama chanting is going on from morning till evening, incessantly. Apart from this corona period, generally the prasad distribution starts at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, and it goes on till about 8 o'clock in the night. There is something or the other for people to take as prasad. Of course, in the corona period, it's only the vibhuti for the visitors because of the rules of the government, but still sadhus are fed. So nama chanting and annadana, they are the most important aspects of our worship of Bhagwan, which even individual householders can do. Every householder must make it a point to feed the Narayanas, the poor Narayanas, handicapped Narayanas. There are so many who do not have enough food to eat. There is no dearth of beggars in India. So make it a point to feed some beggar or the other, or if you can, even 10 people, as much as 10 people, as much as you can afford, as an offering to Bhagwan. And of course, ceaseless nama chanting is the other aspect of our worship, important, primary aspect of our worship. Now this Bhagwan is here right in front of us, with his hand raised in a gesture of blessing. We shall offer our today's prayers at his feet. Bhagwan, please give us the mind to serve others, to feed others, to serve others, even as we would serve you. The right attitude. And Bhagwan, there is nothing that you do not know, there is nothing that you cannot do. You are omniscient, you are omnipresent, and you are omnipotent. We seek your immediate divine intervention to free the entire world from the clutches of this dreadful virus and bring back a dharmic normalcy in every aspect of life. Bhagwan, this teeny, tiny virus is holding the entire world in its grip. Please enter the vaccine they have found. Unless you enter, it may not have the potency. We beg you to act from the vaccine and kill this virus once for all. And Bhagwan, please remove the panic from the hearts of people and arrest the spread of the disease. And please give a boost to falling economy and all those brave soldiers who are in the field, the doctors, the nurses, and the other medical soldiers, the sevaks. Please give them protection. And above all, give us constant remembrance of your name